Hello there, BookTube. My name is Buck, and these are going to be Buck's books. And this is my attorney, Beefton Duke. I want to start with a book by Giles Kristian called Hellmouth. I have no idea how I came across this book. This is not recommended to me by anyone as far as I know, but I'm glad that I ran across it because perfect 5 out of 5. I could not have wished for a better book. I think a lot of it was that it was just too short for anything to have gone wrong in the book. It was only 52 pages long, right? So it centers around Galen the mercenary. And he did work for the church once upon a time. And this is like the Catholic Church in a historical fiction novel set in the 1370s. So pure evil. Like, just as bad. Like, there's no worse entity in the world than the Catholic Church in the 1300s in historical fiction, right? So Galen he did work for the church for a while, but he got excommunicated because he smoked too tough and his swag too different and his bitch too bad. Not sure exactly what happened there or why he stopped, and the 52 pages do not give you a whole lot of room for that kind of character development, but it is implied that it got too real at one point. And he wasn't proud of what he was doing in service of Mother Church, and then he quit and just became a scumbag. It's relatable to us all, I am sure. Now, Galen no longer takes these church jobs, right? He leads a band of charming sociopaths who are identified primarily by what weapon they use. And that's how you know the story was actually a D&D one-shot, and it wasn't like historical, precisely. Because if it were historical, you'd have tortoise formations. They'd be running around with like shields and spears. They'd be able to do a phalanx, nice tasteful phalanx. Or, sword and board, a couple of great sword guys, that'd be alright. And the heavy armor, and then behind them, backlining it with the bow and arrow, why not? That'll take care of most of what you need. That was not the situation with Galen's merry men, and also women. It was lampshaded on a number of occasions in order to hit the inclusivity quotas required of 1370s Bohemia. So this gender-diverse group of sociopath mercenaries were wandering around doing pretty much whatever work they could get hired to do at any given time. And one of them has a hammer, and one of them's got a sword, and one of them's got a bow, and one of them has a flail, one of them has a mace, just whatever you got. It's just everyone has one of everything from the armory section of the player's handbook. But I am not here to begrudge Kristian this. Variety is the spice of life. The writing style walks the knife's edge of purple prose, but manages not to nick itself pretty much the entire time. The story begins gritty, and then it gradually and exponentially increases in grittiness. And the reason I'm giving this such a glowing review, this is what my glowing reviews sound like, is because it reminded me so much of the Broken Empire trilogy by Mark Lawrence. Now, if you're lucky, one day I'll reread those so I can have it fresh in my mind, and I'll just gush for a half an hour about how gross and filthy and mean those books were. Apex fantasy. Probably one of my best. It's up there. It's hard to say because I'm also going to foam at the mouth about Joe Abercrombie stuff at some point. But I think that just the Broken Empire trilogy specifically might even exceed the First Law. And I do not say that lightly. This little 52-page story, it's got everything. It's got the psychic nuns, it's got the decapitated monks, it's got dark rituals, it's got a derelict church carpeted with fresh entrails and human excrement, and then it culminates in this acid trip dawn till dusk cannibal demon orgy. And then Satan the devil. Satan, the biblical devil, he's there. He just shows up. And at that point, where do you go when Satan the devil hits the scene? The narrative kind of had to splinter. So it ends on what I hesitantly consider a cliffhanger, but only because there was nowhere else the story could have gone. Satan is there. That's full stop. You can't You can't have your little fresh-hatched one-shotter anti-hero directly oppose Satan and then run away unless it is The Devil Went Down to Georgia. So I'm going to read all of the rest of the stuff by Giles Kristian, 100%. And if you cared about anything I just said, you should too. But like only if you like your historical fiction dripping with an unsustainable quantity of Sam Raimi black metal splatterpunk gore. And that's about it for today. Thanks for tuning in. I will have more book reviews literally constantly.